like for you to imagine just for a moment that you have a magic wand in your hand. And if you could wave that magic wand and change one behavior in either yourself or someone else, what would that one behavior be? What would you want to change? Just a behavior in either yourself or someone else. How would you influence that change? And when we talk about influence, the power to change almost anything, we define influence as the ability to change our own behavior or someone else's. And that's a powerful concept if we can really grab around it. How do you change not only our behavior, but someone else's? What would you change? Why is it that we're not better at influence, at changing? We have the unrealistic expectation that people will change even when the consequences for not changing are enormous. Everyone knows the consequences, and the change required is relatively simple. Did you know that over 90% of coronary bypass patients 2 years after surgery have gone back to their poor eating habits? 2 out of 3 criminals are rearrested in a very short time. In your state, the department that handles the jails is called what? The Department of Corrections. And yet 2 out of 3 we're not correcting. Okay. How many people here on a regular basis, I'm talking daily, floss your teeth? A show of hands. Yeah. Relatively few number. Research says that people who floss daily add 10 years to their lives. Wow. How hard is it to floss? Pretty hard, isn't it? Takes about 20, 30 seconds a night. We know the consequences. Change is simple. And we know the consequences of not changing. And yet people don't floss. That's amazing. So our point is, our world is organized to create the behavior you're currently experiencing. As a good boy growing up in the South, for whatever reasons, I began in my early 20s to do Skoal chewing tobacco. You know the can? I got to the point where I was doing a can of Skoal a day for 18 years. Did I know the consequences of what I was doing? Absolutely. I pick up the can, and what does it say on it? This could possibly kill you. Don't care, I'm going to do it. We behave in exactly the way we need to get the results that we get. Was change relatively simple? Absolutely. Now I tell you, I tried several times to change, to stop, but that addiction is very strong, particularly with the nicotine and the oral fixation. But stopping actually is a very simple act. I just don't buy it. I just don't put it in my mouth. And yet for 18 years, I continued to do a can a day. What I want to share briefly with you is what we call the 6-source model. And it helps us look at why people do what they do or don't do what they do. If you look at the first 2 columns, we have motivation and an ability. Is it a motivation issue? Am I motivated to do it? Or is it an ability issue? Maybe I don't have the skills, the ability. Okay. And then along the side, we see the 3 sources of influence: personal, social, and structural. Source 1 and 2, personal motivation and ability. Am I personally motivated? Do I have the personal ability? You know, I would love to be able to fly a plane. I may be highly motivated to do that, but I'll never be able to at this point because I don't have the ability. Even if somebody put a gun to my head and said, fly this plane, I could not do it. And then we look at social influence. Source 3 says, do others motivate me? Source 4 says, do others give me the ability? Do they enable me to do something or not do it? And then structural, source 5 and 6, are there things in my non-human environment, structurally, that motivate me? Or source 6, are there things that enable me, non-human factors?